Hashtag art crush.
Welcome to the Too Old or Pure Gold Movie Podcast. In today's episode, we're discussing the 1995 action-adventure movie, Jumanji. The format of our podcast: two Gen Xers rewatch beloved movies from our youth to find out, are they really as good as we remember? To help us debate and ultimately pass judgment, we ask our millennial co-host to watch these movies for the first time and help us determine, are they too old or pure gold? I'm your host, Olen, Vanderleeden, representing Gen X. Joining me today is my Gen X co-host, Matthew Stockton.
Hello, everybody.
Representing the millennials, we have Anthony.
Good evening.
We have Sean. Sean, do we have you?
No, we don't, because I never mute, and I'm muted. But hello, everyone.
Just so you know, I'm not editing that out. The people have a right to know.
No, I wouldn't want it any other way.
And representing Gen Z, we have monkey rights activist Nicole.
No, I don't like monkeys.
Take it.
They're scary.
And I know you listeners are already thinking, whoa, this is a power cast this week, but buckle up because we're very excited to have a special guest host this week, Dan Sissons.
Hey, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Welcome, Dan.
And Dan, I'm going to attempt to give you an introduction so you can tell me how well I do on this. Okay, so for those of you that don't know him, Dan is a master of storytelling through objects. With over 4 decades in the film industry, he's brought iconic props to life on screen, from futuristic tech in iRobot to the eerie ambiance of The Cabin in the Woods. His work spans collaborations with celebrated directors like Christopher Nolan and Tim Burton, and he's contributed to productions featuring stars like Al Pacino and David Bowie. Based in Vancouver, Dan's creative influence extends beyond the set, shaping immersive spaces and artistic environments that continue to reflect his passion for visual storytelling. How was that?
Well, that's a pretty nice introduction. Thank you very much.
Is it accurate?
Yeah, it's pretty accurate, I guess. Yeah, it sounds good to me.
Hashtag art crush.
Okay. But the reason we have Dan here today is actually his special connection to this beloved film. Dan is the legendary props master. Is that the right title, Dan, for this role,
Yep,
props
I
master?
was a prop master, that's right.
Okay. Dan is the legendary prop master behind one of cinema's most memorable objects, the enchanted board game from Jumanji, or this movie we're talking about. From its hand-carved detail to its mysterious inner glow, the game became a character in its own right, and Dan's craftsmanship played a huge role in that magic. Today we're going to talk about the movie Jumanji, Too Old or Pure Gold style, but also, since we're fortunate to have been able to get Dan on our show, we're hoping to get a few behind-the-scenes stories about the making of this movie and what it was like to be a creative force involved in this iconic film.
Now, I'm excited about this movie and this show because, while the listeners can't see it, that wall behind me is a wall of board games.
I know, it's going to be fun. Okay, so let's get into it. So today's movie is the 1995 action-adventure movie Jumanji. Jumanji stars one of my favorite of all times, Robin Williams. I think we're all huge fans. The movie was directed by Joe Johnston. Joe Johnston began his Hollywood career as a visual effects artist and art director. He worked at Lucasfilms, contributing to the original Star Wars trilogy, including designing the Boba Fett character and storyboarding major sequences. He won an Academy Award for Best Visual Effects for Raiders of the Lost Ark. Prior to this movie, he has directing credits for Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and The Rocketeer. After this movie, he continued his directing career with movies like Jurassic Park 3 and the first Captain America movie. Obviously, he has a bias towards visual effects. Did you know Joe before this, Dan?
No, the first time I worked with him was Jumanji. I remember going in for my job interview, maybe a year before we actually started filming. I was called in for an interview, and was pretty kind of nervous to meet Joe because it was, Joe also directed The Rocketeer, also the same production designer, Jim Bissell, amazing production designer, same executive producer, Larry Franco. It was basically the core group from The Rocketeer, which I really, really love that movie because it was set in 1930s Los Angeles. again, a very iconic prop. The whole movie revolved around the rocket pack and the helmet. Everyone knows what that's all about. So I was pretty excited to meet Joe and to meet Larry and to meet Jim. And, that was my job interview. And, I was a junior prop master in Vancouver at the time, not one of the big hitting guys. So I wasn't really thinking that the job was going to come my way. So I was very, very lucky, felt very, very
Nice.
fortunate when it happened.
Yeah, it must have been so cool to work on this.
It was. It was great. It was a great experience.
Okay, well, before we get into asking you a few more questions about it, we'll finish our intro here. So the tagline from the movie poster is "It's a jungle in here," and
That's not
I'm
bad,
notoriously
actually.
hard on taglines. They're always awful, but I actually think this one is pretty good and
Yeah.
to the point.
That's one of the better
It's
ones.
a little basic.
Yep. IMDb describes the film as a magic board game summons jungle perils and a missing boy. And I'm not sure that does the movie justice. But luckily, Dan, so one of our regular segments is for every movie we do, and we're 60 movies deep now. I make my 93-year-old dad watch it. And I say, Dad, what was this movie about? And I think you're going to like this. Pay attention to his pronunciation of the movie Jumanji.
Dan,
Ready?
Dan, you should hear what he said about Porky's. But okay, go on.
Who would have thought that the discovery of an antique game board would cause you to disappear for 26 years? Oh well, that's exactly what happened to Alan Shepard in the movie Jumanji. As a young boy in 1969, he found a magic game board in the foundation of an old building. So exploring the secrets of this old board, and the results was for Alan to enter a magic world where he had to stay until liberated by another player rolling the right combination of dice. Moving forward to 1995, a young boy named Peter and his sister Judy, they find the same old game board hidden in a scary old mansion. Enter the magic world where they meet Ellen, who's now 26 years older, and incidentally, this role is played by Robin Williams. Beautiful. Alan is super excited that he has been found, explaining to Peter that if they roll the right combination of dice, he will be free. But first, they experience all kinds of unbelievable situations with lions, elephants, bats, monkeys, and other strange animals, and even a hunter. They survive all these magic events and finally manage to return to the real world. This is a very colorful movie. Unbelievable as the story is, it will be enjoyed by many young and old people. So have fun.
I
have
love
fun.
that of all the movies we've done, this is the one he thinks has an unbelievable plot.
Yeah. He does a pretty good job. I can't believe we got him to watch all of these films, but this one he enjoyed, obviously. So let's have a quick reaction from all of the people in the cast to this movie when you watched it this week.
Fantastic. One of the core movies of my childhood, and it holds up. Not as scary as I remember it, but still a fantastic film. And I loved every second of it.
Yeah, I remember watching it a lot as a kid, but I didn't remember anything about it until we just watched it, and it was incredible. Better than I remember, and I agree, not as terrifying as I remember.
And I must say, it's definitely, the CGI holds up, and I think it's better than some today. Shockingly.
It holds up shockingly well.
Yeah.
Except for the monkeys.
Yeah, I was gonna say the monkeys. Come on.
The monkeys was one of my bad points, but other than the monkeys, the CGI held up very well.
You know, I saw this. God, I was like 25 years old, so I was too cool for it at the time. But like watching it again when I'm 55 and I don't have to be cool anymore, I have to say it's just an endearing movie. But what I like about it is it's basically like childhood trauma, the movie, right? but PG, and it's like all the better for it, you know.
There were a lot of things I didn't really catch on to the first time I watched it, and also things that maybe aren't child friendly, like telling children about how a little boy was chopped up to pieces by his dad in their house and hidden in the walls. That's a little intense for children.
I mean, it in a lot. Yeah, absolutely. But I think it hits every cylinder. It's like you kind of like you feel like there's real stakes, right? Legit scares. Of course, beautiful production design, and Robin Williams doing doing the work that reminds you that he wasn't just funny, he was feeling everything, you know.
Oh yeah, the acting's phenomenal.
Yeah.
What
I was literally sobbing when he came out of the game and he was like so happy and thanking everyone, and then suddenly realizing that his life was gone.
Yeah,
he's just such a tremendous actor. He brings such emotion to everything he does. And I mean, you literally believed that he was a kid that grew up around no one else and then came out, not growing up around society. He just played it perfect.
So I'm really the only one who didn't see this as a kid.
I think you did, and you just forgot.
I think no memory.
I think you were neglected.
It does seem quite like it.
He was neglected. I mean, they couldn't all be favorites.
Oh, them's fighting words.
Okay, Sean, since you started, what did you think of it, watching it for the alleged first time?
I do believe it's the first time, but either way, I enjoyed it. It was not necessarily what I expected, which was really interesting. I mean, it's a movie I've seen clips of a lot of times, and I've heard about a ton, and I really quite enjoyed it. I think this is like the perfect balance for like a movie adults can enjoy and kids can enjoy. I kind of actually wished I knew it more as a kid, like this was something I had access to as a kid, because I think I would have gotten obsessive with it to an unhealthy degree, perhaps, as a kid. But as an adult, especially with modern movies, very interesting seeing sort of the changes, comparing it to its remake later on, right? Like much chiller on the humor. Like they're so like fast paced and trying to throw jokes in your face constantly. It was kind of refreshing to watch a movie that could be funny and have a good sense of humor, but didn't feel the need to throw it in your face constantly.
That's an interesting point. I did like that. I liked that it wasn't just funny, it also had emotions.
Yes.
Yeah. So I had that too. So some of the things what I loved about this movie, so I loved it, by the way. I've seen it, I'm sure, 20 times. Action, adventure, emotional connections. So real interesting emotional connections, not simple ones, I don't think. No. A little bit of danger, which I think there's a lot of family movies that are just very like there's no danger to them.
No real sense of danger.
No real sense of danger, and I liked that. And I mean, Robin Williams. I mean, what else do you want? So I love this movie, and it holds up for me.
Nice.
Okay, well, why don't we dive into it then? And I would say it's
best parts.
Well, we can roll into best parts or the discussion on it. I mean, I got a whole bunch of stuff that I'd like to ask Dan about it, but who wants to?
I have just a question to get everyone started.
All right.
Because there's nothing good ever happens in the game, so I'm wondering like, why would you ever want to play it if nothing fun happens? So I'm just curious how many of us would actually play if you found that game.
If I found it and knew, or if I didn't know and found it.
If you found it and you took one turn and giant mosquitoes came out, would you keep going?
Well, I have a penchant for jumping into the deep end without looking and self-destruction. So yes, I would probably play it.
I think I'd play it just to stop the drum beats in my head.
You sort of have to finish the game. It actually says that at some point. You have to complete all the tasks. So once it kind of lures you in for whatever reason. It lures you in because it's mysterious looking, because it's magical. Who knows? And
it's also a gorgeous board game set. So I would be all over
you're
it.
talking to the guy that created it. So, Dan, how much direction did they give you when you created that beautiful board?
Oh, well, we were all over it. I mean, everyone was, it was a constant discussion with Joe and Jim and we were doing mock-ups and we were doing, prototypes and figuring out how does the game open and, what does it look like on the outside? What's the origin? We figured Africa. We carved it out of African mahogany. We, we sculpted different playing fields, and we did, there's a lot of research and development before we came up with something.
Did you have to like put a lot of consideration into it for like the things, because that board game went through a lot throughout that movie? Like, did you have to take that into consideration, or did you just have multiple versions of it?
Well, one of the things is, for something like, for a prop like that to have a presence on the screen, it has to be a certain size. It can't be very, very, very small. It creates problems for the camera, it creates problems for everybody. So you wanted to make it as big as you could, but at the same time, Peter, the little boy was like 11 when we shot the movie, and he was kind of small, a small 11-year-old. So he was rather short, and he had to carry it. He carries it almost more than anybody in the whole movie. So we had to consider that. Is this something a young boy can run around with and do action scenes with? So there was some physical constraints in the board game, and then, but really we wanted to make something beautiful. I mean, it had to have a sense of magic and a sense of mystery. So my philosophy as a prop master was always like, try not to worry about the nuts and bolts of what the prop has to do throughout the movie. Make it beautiful first. Make it really, really interesting. Make it pretty. Make it whatever it has to be, but make it great looking. And then we'll figure out, how do we make it float down the river? How do we make a pelican fly away with it? It's a puppet, right? The pelican was
so
a puppet,
cool.
so it had to, and the puppet was like, it had a very thin neck, and it had to, so the game that went into its mouth had to be extremely lightweight, and all these different things that had to happen for these games. We figured that out after we figured out the look of the game.
Did you have any input on like creatures or how they would emerge from the game?
No. I mean, we talked about the tokens. The tokens were, we ended up with the 4 that you see, but there was talk of other ones. But no, there was a whole other, an amazing group of people that were doing all of the puppets, and all of the puppets themselves were amazing. Like the lion. One of my favorite memories in my career was that we were all working upstairs, and we knew the lion was coming up from it was coming up from Los Angeles, and it was being shipped that day. I think it was a Friday afternoon, and then the word got out, the lion's here, and we all went downstairs to see them unscrew the crate. And when they took that lid off the crate and you saw the lion for the very first time, it was unbelievable. Like, you could get right up to it, and it was like it had perfect, they'd sculpted the hair perfectly, and so, I mean, the puppets were amazing in the movie. You guys were complimentary to the CGI. That sort of all blended together.
The board game itself
so
kind
cool.
of screams as well. It kind of screams, "Don't touch me, you idiot," in terms of the design, it's beautiful, but at the same time, it looks a little bit scary.
It looks haunted.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, it's sentient, so I think that's a pretty effective design. That's so cool.
When you were a kid, did you ever think you're going to be making sentient board games?
You know what? I was always coming up with stuff and making stories about it. I remember doing it in elementary school. Like, I would make something in my grandfather's shop and take it to school and basically lie and say, look at this. This is, I used to say, I made a part from a spaceship once and brought it to school and said, this is from a spaceship. No, I've been doing this, a long time, right? Finally, I got better at it, I guess.
So your grandfather had a shop, and you must have spent time there. Maybe is that part of the inspiration?
For sure it was.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was, he was great with me and very patient, and would show me how to make and do things, and it was a great start.
That's great.
You must absolutely love what you do. And I mean, we've all taken a look at your IMDb, and I have some questions about it, but it's phenomenal, the productions you've worked on. What a fun career.
I'll have to get you on other podcasts, because I want to pick your brain about so many different things, but I also want to stay on topic.
For sure.
I never even really thought about the fact that it was puppets that you had to operate. Like, I don't think very much about that aspect of it, but I would love to see behind the scenes of someone trying to operate that lion puppet.
Oh, it was a group. Like, it wasn't props. We didn't do the puppets. We worked with everyone on set, but no, the puppets came with an entire crew. Like there was like, I forget how many guys were on the puppet, were on the lion, 5 maybe. There was facial expressions. There was obviously the head and neck need to move and everything else. So it was an entire team. And when they arrived, they were rehearsed. It wasn't like, like they had been rehearsing with it down in LA and then brought it up and continued, and seeing it work on set was amazing.
That's fascinating. That would be incredible to observe, I bet.
Yeah. No.
So, did you have any idea it was going to be this big? Because if you got this pitch from somebody, it sounds like a cool idea, but from what I understand, it wasn't super simple to get this production going in the first place, to get it greenlit. I mean, did anybody know it was going to be this big? Because it's beloved.
Well, everyone has their own perspective on a show. I mean, I really wanted the show because the movie revolved around a prop, and how that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
Like you can go in your whole career and not really have that happen. And I really wanted that show. I always felt like it was going to be a special show. I mean, really, the problem with Jumanji was that they were having trouble casting the lead. They were having trouble finding grown-up Alan, and for a while there, we were hearing that it was going to be Nicolas Cage. That kind of fizzled out, and they actually laid off a lot of the people on the movie. They kept me on doing some things. They kept some department heads doing certain things. A lot of the crew was let go. And then finally, I remember coming home. This was like in the era of answering machines in your living room. And I came home. It was like a Sunday night, and there was a message, and I played it. And it was the art director saying, it's going to be Robin Williams, and we're going to be shooting in 4 weeks in Keene, New Hampshire. It's a go. And so it happened. There was a lot of stuff happening in the meantime, but we went into an idle mode, and then Robin took it, and then it was a big deal.
Well, I mean, without the right person in that lead role, I can see that it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
It would have been a very different movie if it was Nicolas Cage.
I mean, you can't necessarily believe what you read on IMDb, but the research I did said Tom Hanks was the first choice for this film.
Okay. That's good.
And it said Bruce Willis was considered but unavailable.
Right.
Can you imagine the difference in this movie if it was Bruce Willis? That is insane.
I can't imagine it being anyone else.
IMDb always regurgitates like the 5 same actors every time.
I know.
Rumor has it,
I know.
So many movies we do on here, it's like they considered Nicolas Cage and John Travolta.
And Tom Cruise and
So, a question, kind of continuing with like best moments, because I think one of the coolest moments is when they come back to the house and the house is overtaken with the jungle.
Yeah.
That's such a striking moment. And I was just kind of curious, Dan, like I don't fully understand where like the different sets of teams come in. So like, how much of that, like, were you responsible for like some of the pieces around like the plants everywhere and all that, or is it like a set team? Like, where's that line?
Well, I love that you brought this up, because like if someone was to say to me, what were my 10 favorite moments in my career as far as like a wow moment, it would have been, so to move around and answer your question, I had nothing to do with the transformation of the house. That's completely art department and completely set decorating, completely a sculptural team would move in. But the fact that you mentioned this, I love, because one of my favorite moments, like we'd already shot the house perfect. We already did. There's a logical way of doing this in the movie business. So you always shoot something perfect first. So we did the perfect house first. Then we did the dusty kind of forgotten house, the abandoned house. Then we went away and did something. I can't remember what we did. We might have even gone back to Keene to shoot some more stuff. I forget. Anyway, we left the house for like a month. And then the art department came in, added all of the Angkor Wat style vines and the roots and everything like that. And we came back, and I'll never forget walking in the house and seeing the transformation, and it was unbelievable. It was like I said, one of the top 10 things that I've ever experienced in the business was experiencing the first time I saw all that. It was amazing. It was fantastic.
Yeah. I think the vines sort of deserve their own featurette but they're all on like in the making of featurette, like they're so beautiful.
No, they did a great job.
Well, one question I had for you guys is I was watching the movie, I thought, what is your worst fear if you were playing this game that would come out for you? Because I saw those spiders and I did not like them.
The spiders is I'm an arachnophobe. The spiders.
The spiders is the worst for me as well. And I didn't remember that at all. I clearly blocked it out. That's the worst thing.
I heard the quote and I took a look at my wife, Catherine, and she looked at me and she's like, I think you're in trouble now. And I'm like, yeah.
Especially for poor Alan, who couldn't move his arms with those spiders.
I love when he was blowing at him.
I think I can take a guess at what your worst thing to come out of there would be.
What would it be?
Snakes.
You're right. Snakes would be mine. If I was playing that game and snakes came out, like those spiders I can handle, although I did not like the ones in that movie.
Yeah.
It was the monkeys for me. I don't like monkeys.
You gasped when I said I don't like monkeys.
Those monkeys are cute, though. Not chimps.
I have to take a tangent here on monkeys because I read in the trivia, again, you never know if this stuff is true, but it said they initially considered using real animals for the movie. And one of our favorite movies in this podcast is when we talked about Gremlins. And now Gremlins, originally they tried to use live monkeys, but they tore the setup and started attacking each other.
No, the director's office, and they started flinging shit around, and that's when they decided that they're not going to use real monkeys with masks on.
Do you have any intel on that, Dan?
I wasn't in any discussions about that. I never heard that before. It was probably they probably moved on from that by the time.
I saw those monkeys, and I just immediately thought that
Gremlins.
would be hilarious.
Well, one of my favorite parts was monkeys driving a car, so I can't imagine them trying to get a real monkey to drive a car.
I had knife-throwing monkeys on my favorite parts.
Mm-hmm. That is pretty iconic.
One compliment we can give this film is, on this podcast, we all generally are in love with practical effects as we review movies. We're 80s, early 90s, and so it's a lot of practical effects, and there's something to be said for it. They just feel better than a lot of the CGI today. And in this movie, I know some of it was CGI, but I couldn't actually tell where it was puppets, where it was CGI, and where that blend was. So people did a great job. And this is early in CGI. Like, they must have had really talented people.
Yeah.
Oh, that tornado at the end with the the tornado of the stampede going back to the game was one of my favorite parts. That was the coolest.
Well, Joe has a connection with ILM. He had it back to when ILM was formed. So ILM was heavily involved in a lot of those things.
See, I actually like older movies where things don't look real, but the how do I put this? It's sort of like the quaintness of the suspension of disbelief. Mm-hmm. Like you know it doesn't look real, but there's something magical in believing that it's real anyway. I don't know, and you lose that with like really contemporary CGI sometimes, I think.
I was just revisiting this week in my mind Clash of the Titans 1981 with the claymation, and I just love that stuff. And Dan, being a master props master? I can't say
he's not just a props master. He's a master props
master. Props master. Okay, having a double masters in props. What's a movie you admire?
A movie that
props.
For props? Oh,
yeah,
my favorite
movie that you admire for work that's not yours.
Oh, no, for sure. My favorite prop of all time, it's on my business card. I have a copy of it in my living room. I'm not going to go get it. It's the Maltese Falcon. I love the Maltese Falcon.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I have two. I have two that I noted as favorite movie props that I love. Maybe it tells a bit about the kind of movies I like. But first of all, I like the book from Evil Dead.
Yep.
That is good.
Book that's made of skin. And I actually, again, another horror movie, Hellraiser. I
the
love
Cube.
The Hellraiser.
Yeah.
Cube and Hellraiser.
Yeah.
I just
Good.
One of my favorite things that I notice in all movies, but my favorite thing, because I'm a strange person, but my favorite thing in movies is when they're so detailed that I can go away later and research it. So, like, one of my favorite movies is Cabin in the Woods because of all the different props in the basement, and each prop has a backstory, and I didn't know that you worked on that until we sat down here, so I'm very excited about that.
Right.
But, like, I just love when the props have their own stories, and you can't even get into all the details in the movie because it's just so detailed. And I love going away and doing my little research.
Oh, that was a good set. It was spooky down there, dusty and cobwebby and all sorts of like, how are you going to die? Which item are you going to choose that's going to be your
Exactly.
demise, right?
And every prop had its own, like, it was actually thought about, like, this one correlates with this story and
Yes.
this one
Yeah.
correlates with this
Yeah.
story. Incredible. I just love that stuff.
Very cool. So, Dan, let's take this one off the table so that you don't have to say whether this is your favorite or not. What's your favorite movie you worked on other than this?
Oh, well, Jumanji was one of my favorites. I mean, I know that's not the answer you're looking for, but it really was.
No, I'm assuming it is. How can it not be? This is so cool.
Well, what it all boils down to for me, and it isn't so much whether the movie was successful or not, because I've worked on movies that did really, really well that were horrible experiences. You know what I mean? Like just they were a grind, or there was somebody there that really made things hard for you, or whatever. Who knows what it was? So anyway, with Jumanji, there's a movie can have like a sense of family to it, right? Which is where just everybody, we all know that we're in it together, and we all know that we're creating something that's probably going to be special. There's no guarantees, and having someone like Robin on set, there was never a bad day with Robin. Like, you've seen it. If you do enough shows, you know that sometimes you come to set and there's something going on. Like Robin was, he was always fun. He was always light. The kids were great. Like Bradley and Kirsten, they were wide eyed and really interested in doing a great job. And then Joe was really enthusiastic and positive. We had a fantastic first AD on that movie, Betsy Magruder, who just like there was a million things that go wrong in a movie like that. You think about it. You have to do plate shots for all the special effects. You have puppets. You have children. You have like a very ambitious schedule where so many things have to happen. And she was just like the calm person at the tiller, making sure that everyone had a communication and things were going according to plan. I don't know. Like, it really was one of my favorites. And it was great to have it so early in my career, a big show like that so early in my career. So I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah, I just can't imagine. Like, I've spent most of my career doing 60-second television commercials with 30-second cut downs, and those things have made me white and bald, right? I can't imagine, like, I'm like, how the hell do they do a couple-hour movie? All I have to get is 60 seconds.
Wasn't Matthew always white?
It's getting, the beard's getting whiter.
Well,
It makes me like a movie more to know that people had fun
Yeah.
on the set. To know
Yeah.
that it wasn't like a hard
of course.
experience for
And
people.
and I mean, I always hate when you have your hero movie stars and then you find out that they're real dicks, right? And I think everybody loves Robin Williams, so it's nice to hear that he's as sweet a man as he seems to be.
Seemed.
He was. It was amazing.
Matthew.
Yeah, big loss.
You know who else is great? Kurt Russell. I have lots
Oh.
of Kurt Russell stories. I had so much fun with him. He's an amazing guy to work with.
Oh, tell us. We love Kurt Russell on this.
We do a lot of
Escape-
his movies.
we do a
Escape
lot of
from
his
New
movies.
York.
Yeah, I know.
The Thing,
Good
like
times.
we've done a lot of his movies on this. Overboard, yeah. Yeah, we did that movie on this pod as well. Yeah, I love Kurt Russell. Yeah, that's great. Okay, Sean, I got a question for you. I know you pay attention to the details. Sean, how many people do you think died in this movie?
How many people died in this movie?
Yeah, because they didn't show any, but there was a lot going on in very dangerous situations.
Depends. All the people who were stung dead? Like, it seemed like a pretty bad reaction.
I don't think they were going to be able to save any of those people. They don't have the modern medicine to deal with unknown insect
I mean,
bites.
it was about 50 people from that, I think, alone, and then we had stampeding animals. And those monkeys, I feel like those monkeys did the most damage that we saw on screen. It was like,
for sure.
dangerous mosquitoes? Nah, fine. The monkeys, though, just stealing motorbikes?
And guns? The
Yeah.
monkeys were holding guns.
I know.
So let's call it, even 100, give or take.
And if you think about real life as well, I think monkeys do a lot of damage. They're violent.
We need to test that out one day.
I'm good.
No.
I opt out of that episode.
Okay, do we like the dad character or not?
No.
Because one of the things I liked about this movie's character arc, like they all ended up in a different place, which I think was brilliantly the way it was written.
I think it's very telling that the hunter that came out of the board game who wants to murder you and makes you feel like a child had his dad's face. That says a lot about his character.
I didn't realize that till now. Like as a kid, I never clued that in. So it's really cool to look back and be, oh, that was actually just like a reincarnation of his dad in the game.
You were always fooled by a clever mustache.
It's true.
I'm going to say that's too hot on the dad because he was a bad parent in the beginning of that movie. I'm not going to try and defend that away, but he was trying to figure out how to be a good parent with the image of what his father had done with him. And the end of the movie showed he was completely willing to try and change. He just didn't know how. So I wouldn't call him a bad parent. He's not a good parent, but he's trying, and that's better than many people.
Okay, I agree with you, Sean. One of the things I liked about this, not to be too emotional, but I just love the idea that you can have a bad reaction, but then you can recover and just say, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. And that part at the end with the dad, I really love that. For me, that's one of my favorite parts.
Yeah.
I like that he came around, but he didn't come around enough for me for it to be a redemption. And I have a hard time forgiving someone who's like, no, go out there and get beat up by your bullies because that'll make you a man.
Yeah, sorry boys for that.
When you brought up with that
real life.
For your entire life, it's really hard to turn around immediately. Even being willing to change as much as he did, like from what I've seen in my relatively short time on this planet, people don't change that often, and they don't change those things that often. Even a minor step deserves praise.
He's not the worst that we've seen.
I kind of liked him. He was firm.
Okay, before we move on, and I will move this on because I can't keep Dan too long. Anthony, I wanted to ask you, what is the age you can show this to your kids?
I don't know. I was thinking about that last night. Like the girls have to see this, so I mean,
it's great, but it is a little scary. You got to pick the right age. I don't know the answer.
I don't remember when I watched this. I remember it was on VHS, and it would be at Grandma's. I would watch, but I don't.
I remember watching it like 4 or 5, but that might have been because I had older siblings who watched it all the time. I watched a lot of things when I was maybe too young to watch them because I had siblings so much older than me. But I don't know. I feel like my niece could certainly start watching it now because she loves scary things.
There you go.
You just throw them into it. My aunt let me watch Night of the Living Dead when I was about 5.
Hey, me too.
The original one, and it scarred me, but it toughened me up.
I remember watching Kill Bill when I was in like grade 1.
Oh, jeez Louise.
Well, after we did episode 2 Porky's, my dad asked me, why did you see Porky's in the 1981? You were my dad, shouldn't you know?
Don't be asking me, Jumanji, Dad.
Yumani.
Jumanji.
Oh, Hank. Hank cracks me up.
Why do you always think his name is Hank?
Because he strikes me as a Hank, so I will only ever call him Hank.
Dutch Hank.
Dutch Hank.
Okay, guys, any other best parts you want to, very best parts you want to throw out before we move on?
Yes.
Yeah, go for it.
My favorite scene in this movie is the supermarket scene where they trap the hunter.
Iconic.
Yeah. Did you have anything to do with that, like the canoe shooting off?
Well, no, for sure. Yeah, no, I did that. So that was Sir Save-A-Lot. I actually drove past Sir Save-A-Lot. I got lost in Delta the other day and drove right past where we shot the scene. It was like a dollar store or something. We called it Sir Save-A-Lot in the movie. No, Joe and I talked about this. He said, find me a canoe. So I brought him a canoe. He said, no, find me some scuba tanks. And then finally, it ended up looking like a V-1 bomber from the Second World War, like a V-1 like buzz bomb kind of a thing. And I kind of said to him, I says, you should have just told me that you wanted to look like a V-1, and I would have done that right off the bat. Anyway, no, for sure we did that. And no, that's a fun scene. That was a good sequence.
So fun.
Yeah.
And I love that it results in the scary hunter then being a colorful rainbow for the rest of the movie.
That was toxic paint back then.
Do people think you're weird sometimes? So I did an event. Oh, and this is in the days when we're working on Three Saints at Cannabis Brand. We had like a big event, a big show. And I said to our person that was running the event, I said, I want a church bench. And I'm wondering, like, I wonder about the weird conversations you had. And she goes, okay, I can get one. I'm like, no, but it has to be a Catholic church bench, not a Protestant church bench. And she's like, why? I'm like, because it'll be more gothic if it's Catholic. It'll look scarier. Like, do you ever like find yourself having these bizarre conversations with people?
Oh yeah. The amount of detail you can put into something is only limited by the time you have and the money you have, right? So
Yeah.
Give me time and give me money, and then we'll just do whatever. No, it's fun.
Yeah.
Detail. That's I always think of the detail in a movie is like getting out your finest paintbrush, the very
Yeah.
smallest paintbrush you can
Yeah.
get, and then just painting the most detail you can into it. Not a big paintbrush, but the tiniest paintbrush.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So does it make it hard for you to watch movies, seeing all the bad prop work in movies?
Well, I'm a movie snob, and it isn't just regarding prop work. I mean, it's just, you know what I mean. If I start to see, the worst for me are period movies. If I'm watching a movie, because I love movies. Like I try to watch a different movie every night. It's one of my passions. So if I turn on a period movie, they're a minefield for me because like I love period detail, and as soon as I start to see, I don't know, glassware or wristwatches or eyewear, things that are just not correct, I lose interest really quickly. I think that the whole movie needs to pull it along, right? It has to be a good story and good
I
acting,
agree.
the art direction and the props need to keep up with it.
Well, I remember my favorite scene in the movie. I remember it was my favorite when I was a kid, and rewatching it, it was still my favorite, is when the house is flooding.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's so cool. I don't know why I had like a fascination as a kid with swimming inside a house that was flooded. I was like, that looks so cool. And it's so cool. And then when Sarah falls and her legs land perfectly on either side of the crocodile's mouth,
Yes.
like it's just, the whole scene is flawless with comedy and scares, and it just looks so cool.
That's cool.
That was so there's a research tank. It's at a UBC, and it's used for testing the shapes of different boat hulls. And whenever a movie in town, I don't know where they go now, but in the old days, whenever a movie would need to have like a scene where there's a flood or something, we would go there. So we basically rebuilt the mansion in the tank, and then we bring in, I don't know how many people were on set on Jumanji, but they tried to limit the number of people that would go in the water for safety reasons. And if you think about it, now you've got 50 or 100 people. Some of them are world-known actors, and there's like an entire fleet of people in this thing. And now you're running high-powered cables with special lights into the water. Now you're introduced. There's a waterfall. I just saw the movie a few weeks ago, and remember there's a waterfall coming down the stairs. Now you got puppet. Now you got guys operating the crocodile puppet. I think there was 5 of those guys too, and so there's this entire entourage of people. And I'll never forget this. There was like special lights, obviously, special safety equipment. And just before we all got in, one of the chief electrical guy goes, if any of you start to sense like a buzzing or any kind of like a vibration, get out of the water as quick as you can. So in other words, like even though every safety aspect was covered, he was warning us that if in case something starts to go wrong, get out, like really, really fast, get out. And there's kids in the water too, right? But it was fine.
That's crazy.
It worked flawlessly. It was an amazing experience, but it's amazing what you have to go through sometimes.
Have you ever worked at Pinewood Studios in the UK?
No, I've never worked.
I used to live near there. My friend Ed's a fabricator. If you actually had ever worked there, he probably would have like done some of the fabricating of your stuff because he's done lots of movies.
Yes.
And they have like Pinewood has that big tank where so many water scenes have been shot, and I was just I took a tour of it once. It was really cool.
No, it's a very famous facility for sure.
Moving through the categories, you guys want to shout out any worst parts you have on this film, and I'm happy to go first.
Monkeys.
Spiders.
Mine is shooting at children.
Yeah.
Jesus.
You're so soft now.
Heartfelt doesn't discriminate.
just like that he was literally shooting at children in the movie. It struck me as a little odd.
Yeah.
I didn't like that Billy Jessup. He's a bit of a punk and a
Yeah,
coward.
he is a bit of a punk.
Yeah.
I didn't like how I felt when I was watching the Stampede crush a car with Peter in it. That made me feel like puking because it made me so anxious.
The cop's car getting destroyed is funny the first time, but it starts to get a little bit old.
Really?
I love that.
thought that was funny the whole way. I loved the continual gag because my favorite part was near the end when he tries to drive it still and the door ajar light is on when the whole car is demolished.
Nice touch.
Just a good detail.
Well, can I give a shout out to David Alan Grier? Like early in his career, what a good job he did. He was so fun. Yeah.
That was probably the best. Like, obviously, the main characters aside, that was the best role.
A great side character.
Yeah.
He was great. Only other thing I had on worst is Cliffside School for Boys. I don't think sending your kids away to preparation school is the right move.
It's culture. Most of my friends back. So I spent 20 years in the UK, despite this big old accent. Most of my friends went away to boarding school. It's just like.
And how are they doing emotionally now?
No, they're great.
Sure.
But then again, we were a hardy generation.
I feel like you just made my case about the father and how hard it is to change when it's what you grew up with. I will be mean to the movie a little bit since everyone's trying so hard to be nice. But
I'm not trying hard to be nice. I love this movie.
I'm not trying to be hard and nice. Speak for yourself.
Before you say that, I just want to tell Dan that Sean is our contrarian. If we have a film that everybody in the world loves, we bring Sean in just because we know what we're going to get. Go for it, Sean.
It adds some tension.
It does.
As much as I joke being an arachnophobe, the spiders are where I feel like the puppetry fell down. And it's most jarring because it's so good everywhere else, but those were the silliest spiders ever. Like, they didn't trigger me at all. And I get triggered by some of the fakest spiders ever. It just, their walking around was so, like, silly. They had, like, it's almost like they had some attitude to them. Just a little swanter as they were walking along.
I do think they had attitude, but I think real spiders have attitude, and that's why I hate them.
Were they CGI or were they puppets?
They were right on set. They did look kind of plasticky. I don't know the story. I wasn't involved with the discussions of, I don't know who made them, and I don't know how they came to be the way they ended up being. But yeah, to the eye, they didn't look particularly realistic. And then, so you're going to fight that the whole way. Once if it's not convincing to the eye, then if you're not puppeting them effectively, then you're kind of losing the audience. But
I mean, as soon as you notice, you start looking too closely, right? It's like once something breaks your immersion, you become way too judgmental on everything.
No, for sure.
Well, some movies we have to push ourselves to find worst parts, but it's fun to try.
Yeah. Another worst part for me, how slowly they took their turns. They could have gotten this done in half the time if they just rolled faster.
Yeah. I did kind of think
like
that as well.
Waiting for everyone to be sitting down and around the game and like, okay, are you ready for me to roll? Are you ready?
I feel like that's how we play family board games. It's like, please.
It is, and it makes me angry every time. Take your turn.
Dan, are you a board game guy?
Used to. When I was younger, we had Monopoly and Scrabble and stuff like that.
Okay, let's move to favorite lines. Anything you guys want to call out?
What year is it? I don't know. I don't know. That's just such a simple line, but it's so haunted in another way. It's what year is it?
I thought you were having a senior moment.
I'm not having a senior
I was about to push the red button for your nurse.
And the other one is because the day I stopped drinking is the night that I looked in the mirror at 4 a.m. and I said to myself, "You're becoming your father," and I never drank after that. Is the line 26 years buried in the deepest, darkest jungle, and I still became my father. That one hurts.
True. Most of my favorite lines came from Sarah because she was just the perfect character for me. I love that she was just a spiritual, anxious mess because I find that very relatable. But I liked when Alan was being hunted by Van Pelt and she said, "Well, have you ever thought about just sitting down and talking about your differences?" Pretty good. And I also liked when Alan was being a jerk and she said, "Don't worry, honey, he's a Libra."
I had that too.
Ignore him.
I think the line "running shoes" deserves its own Oscar.
What one thing I love about this pod, Dan, is just to hear everybody pick something different. It intrigues me. My favorite line was, "You're not a postal worker, are you?" When he was getting his gun.
That was pretty funny.
The writing
I
is
think it's
fantastic
funny
in this.
that so many of us have Sarah as favorite lines, because mine is, "You just saw 3 monkeys go by on a motorcycle, didn't you?" Yeah, good girl. Come on.
That
Just
was
the
also-
verification, like, this is real, right? Yeah, okay, good, let's go.
I love her. She's very relatable. I feel like I would have the same reactions.
I like too when Robin, he comes out and he deals with the lion, then he goes in the bathroom. He's like, "Thank you, no more banana leaves."
That's also good.
Okay, well, I'm going to talk a bit about how this movie did. So, according to Box Office Mojo Worldwide, Jumanji was the 9th highest earning movie at the box office in 1995. The psychological thriller Seven was the biggest earner this year, and by saying that, I realize this is actually our first 1995 movie. We haven't done one from this year yet. And by the way, you millennials will like the movie Seven, but that's very different than this one. So, interestingly, Jumanji was beat by Pocahontas, Toy Story, and Casper.
What a year.
So it got me thinking that actually the mid-90s was really a pivot point for theater when the family movie was really recognized to be a huge earner, right? And we started to see it. We see them all the time now, but I think this was the pivot point. So when I think about it, I think that pivot point was Robin Williams again. I think Aladdin was that point when we had a movie that adults could watch and kids could watch, because it was for kids, but it had adult humor in it. And again, Robin Williams, fantastic. But I typed it into ChatGPT and said, what was the start of this change when family movies became popular? And it said Home Alone from 1990. Sean, a note for you, our James Bond fan in this cast. GoldenEye beat Jumanji this year. But ninth place is strong, and Jumanji beat out a ton of great movies this year, including Die Hard with a Vengeance, Waterworld, and Bad Boys.
Did you...
I saw a bootleg version of Water. I was living in Moscow at the time. I saw a bootleg version without all the special effects added in. So it was people just going like this in front of the blue screen. And back in those days in Russia, there's this one guy that did all of the characters in the movie, but they just he'd do it over the actual voices of the actors. And he would do all of them. I love you. I love you too. Right?
So fun.
Oh, movie magic. If anyone's interested, Forrest Gump was the Oscar winner in this year, and you kind of all know how I feel about Tom Hanks, so obviously I'd take Jumanji over this.
All day.
Don't even start.
Okay, so by the numbers, and Dan, you probably know this stuff off by heart, but I'm going to ask our cast here. Budget was $65 million. That's a solid budget. What do you think it did at the box office?
$180 million.
$300 million.
400.
150.
Nicole, you're closest, 262.
Yes.
Boom.
I never win this segment.
And then my personal favorite segment, Dan, again, you probably have to recuse yourself, but I'm always fascinated by the ratings for these movies because they sometimes blow my mind.
Keeping in mind.
Do you know the Rotten Tomato scores, Dan?
I do not.
Okay, so then you can play. So we guess critics and audience. Critics out of 100 on Rotten Tomatoes. And if you don't know how Rotten Tomatoes works, Rotten Tomatoes is how many people say it's good enough to see. They're not saying it's a 5 out of 10 or 7 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. If you say it's good enough to see, it gets a thumbs up. If you say it's not good enough to see, you get a thumbs down. So what percentage out of 100 of critics said this is worth seeing, and what percentage of audience said it was worth seeing? I'm going to let Dan go first. This will be fun.
Oh, geez. I don't know. I think the audience probably liked it more than the critics, but I have no idea. I would say that, 6 out of 10 critics liked it and 7 out of 10 audience liked it.
So 60% and 70%.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to let Matthew or whoever wants to go. Matthew is our kind of savant with Rotten Tomatoes. He seems to be able to channel the scores.
I was thinking 94 for audience and 88 for critics.
Very specific.
I was close. I was thinking 90 for audience, because this movie's always said with positivity around it, and then bringing it down to an 82 for critics. They're always
I'll go
harsher on comedies.
Okay, Nicole.
I'll go like a 92 for audience.
Okay.
And then critics, I don't know, 86?
Matthew, what do you think?
I think the critics are probably bitches about this one because Sean said it. Comedy and these sort of movies, critics tend to want to prove themselves with different types of movies than this sort of movie. So I'm going to say they're bitches and said that they're like 57. And then audience, I'd say about 79.
Huh. I could be really off then.
You guys, Gen Z and millennials, you guys are way off.
No.
Dan actually won this one. So 52%
Dan.
of critics, 52% of critics said this movie's good. Get out and see it.
Bitches, see?
And I can't wait. I can't wait to read Siskel and Ebert to you guys. 63% of audience said get out and see this. So it's not
Crazy.
it's not as beloved in Rotten Tomatoes as we thought, which blows my mind. Dan had a 15, Matthew, you had a 21, and kids, you all had 60 something. So
That's going to hurt my overall score.
it is.
I think I'm still in the lead.
Pull up your
Well-
spreadsheet, Matthew.
Yeah, I'm like keeping score of which ones I win.
That was fascinating. I mean, I have to say, I'm not surprised by critics. I can't wait to read you what Siskel and Ebert said.
But why is it so cemented in 90s pop culture with middling reviews?
I don't know. I don't understand the audience score. I don't understand it at all.
It's cemented so much more than what those are saying. Right?
I feel like the people on Rotten Tomatoes are just not going out of their way, but they're much more picky of an audience than the vast majority of us.
Because
I think.
I was saying to people in my office before I left today, oh, I'm doing Jumanji. Mind you, it's a cannabis company and everyone's half high, but but everyone's like Jumanji, I love it. Right?
I've never met someone who didn't like Jumanji.
Well, this is the thing. I always wonder, like, who doesn't like a movie like this? Like, you don't have to say it's your favorite movie of all time, but to say, yeah, watch it. Like, what? I don't understand.
They're probably filling out their Rotten Tomatoes for the new Jumanjis and got sidetracked.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
That's
Again,
true.
it blows my mind. So just a note I wanted to say. So according to critics, this is Robin Williams' 27th best movie. And I'll note, behind Popeye. His Popeye was rated higher than this. Like, oof.
Oh, dear.
Goodwill Hunting was obviously his highest rating at 97. Great movie. Aladdin was number 2. Good stuff. And I wanted to say, too, I do a little research for this. I love his breadth of Robin Williams, like from comedy to kids' movies to drama to disturbing movies, like Insomnia and 1 Hour Photo. And if you guys haven't seen them, we'll do them one day. Like, great stuff.
I really want to see 1 Hour Photo.
Insomnia's great.
I accidentally put it on my movie list 3 times, so I have to see it now.
It's a
good film, but he can bring the emotion, he can bring the scary. Like I just think he's one of the best actors, and he never won an Oscar, but he got a nomination for Best Supporting Actor in Good Will Hunting, and he got an honorary Oscar in 2009 for Lifetime Achievement, but never a Best Actor, which again blows my mind.
It's criminal.
A little bit of trivia on this. So, TriStar agreed to finance the film on the condition that Robin Williams played the starring role, but he turned it down a couple of times based on the script and only after extensive rewrites did he accept. And the movie he turned down to do this was Batman Forever. I also...
What was he up for in Batman Forever?
I think he would have been the Joker, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
I think they wanted him for the Joker in that.
It's certainly not Batman. Okay.
Dan, I have a question for you on this. When I read the trivia, it says there was a flaw in the design of the game.
Well,
he knows it.
I don't
he
know
knows
if
it.
I don't know for sure. So the Van Pelt character, right, appears on the faceplate of the Jumanji game board. He's in the top left corner. And so we cast, the name of this actor is lost to history. I met him, he came to Vancouver. We propped him up. We put him in costume. We, showed him everything gave him all his props and everything like that. We were going to start shooting in a few days. And then therefore we knew what he looked like. We sculpted the faceplate with his likeness, and he had sort of a rounded face, much rounder than the face of the Van Pelt that we ended up using. And he had a family tragedy. His mother passed away a few days before we were going to start filming. and he withdrew. He withdrew from the project.
Wow.
Wow.
So, it was very sad. And I was already in Boston. We were going to start shooting in Boston. We were in Boston. We were going to start shooting in Keene, New Hampshire in a few days. I was already there. I had a very preliminary set of board games. I didn't have all of them. I had what I needed for the New England scenes, and they all had the wrong face on them. And so, of course, I'm calling back to Vancouver. Kent Allen Jones was our sculptor on the movie. He was amazing. And, we recast to the actor that we all know now, and he resculpted the faceplate, we FedExed faceplates to Boston. And then the night before we were going to start filming, there was like a party. You know how you always hear about the parties that movies have? There was going to be a pre-production party, and it was like I don't know where it was, at a restaurant in Keene. And like I received the faceplates like an hour before. So instead I went to the hardware store and I got like some glue and some basic tools, and I cut out the old faceplates that had the wrong face on them, glued in the new guy, put in the putty and glued it all down. And so with the first day of filming, we had the proper faceplate. So in other words, we never shot anything with the wrong faceplate because we caught it at the very last moment. And then the wrong faceplates were kind of just sent back to Sony as by the way, this was something we thought we'd need, but we didn't. Where the error is that when they made the sequels, I had nothing to do with the sequels. They were made in Los Angeles or Atlanta, I'm not sure. When the sequels were made, they went to Sony and they found the wrong faceplate. They found the faceplate with the guy withdrew from the project, the round-faced actor, and they used those faceplates for the Jumanji sequels. So
that's
anyway,
interesting.
that's
really
interesting.
Shocking they kept it for that long.
Well, they have a lot. I've been invited back. I went to the Sony lockup about 2 years ago, and they invited me to the archive, and it was amazing. It wasn't just amazing because of the Jumanji stuff. They had everything there. It was like I was there for hours. They treated me really nice, and they brought down the palette. There's a palette in the Jumanji or in the Sony lockup with Jumanji stuff in it, and they got the forklift out and lowered it down, and it's just full of cardboard boxes with my handwriting on the outside, like box 5 of 10 kind of thing. And we opened them all up, and they still have lots of stuff. It's kind of deteriorated a little bit, but they still love it, and it's pretty cool to see it again.
So cool to think that archive exists.
They have an amazing treasure there. Every studio does it, but the Sony one was fantastic.
Great.
That's so cool.
Okay, moving through the topic. So, Dan, we have a section called Woke or Joke. We talk about things that may not have aged so well on this. And I got a piece of trivia here. Don't know if it's true or not, but for Woke or Joke, I had TriStar Pictures often asked actors to extend their workdays to meet timelines, but Robin Williams stood up for the kids and threatened to leave the shoot if overtime became mandatory for the kids. So, Robin stood up for the kid actors is what my trivia says.
That's sweet.
Sounds like the Robin I know. Nicole,
Yes.
I'm sure you find anything in the movie?
No,
It's good.
no, other than emotionally unavailable dad.
You talking about me or the one in the movie? Never mind.
Yeah, like I don't know if you want to put that out there about yourself.
Okay, so
He's
I'm
Dutch.
gonna go into the reviews. So however you guys felt about this movie, I promise you there's others who liked it more or less than you. For this film, there were 71 10-star reviews out of 354 total reviews, and fans are really defending this film. The praise is split equally amongst a love for Robin Williams and a love for the board game. Good job, Dan. But I'll add there was a dusting of perverts who love young Kirsten Dunst. So,
Oh,
yep,
Ew.
a little dusting of that in there. So, Movie Man says amongst the thousands of films I've watched, this film would rank near the top for sheer entertainment. I agree. Bellino Angelo says one of the best movies ever made for families. Stormhawk says, yes, I want to play. And one I like is a reviewer that says it doesn't treat children like pathetically fragile things that can't cope with even the slightest bit of unpleasantness, which I thought was a really nice difference in this movie. I thought that was a good call out.
that actually reminds me of one
Hadn't
of my
considered
favorite
it.
parts, which was the way they depicted the children's grief. Like those were both real and very common coping mechanisms. Compulsive lying and selective mutism, like that's brave to show that in a movie and so well.
Agreed. And one 10-star review had a casting wish and said, I wish Robert Downey Jr. had played Van Pelt. That would have been good casting.
Yes.
Okay, so now we hear from people that liked it less. For this movie, there were only 5 people who rated it 1 star compared to the 71 10-star reviews. And whatever you think of this movie, I'll always marvel at the people that call a movie like this 1 star. Right? This is why I do this section, because it always fascinates me. How can you call this 1 star? Anyhow, Mi Cook Lida says, this movie doesn't age well, especially the CGI. The plot is too cheesy. The characters screamed a lot, especially the little girl. They call this a comedy adventure, but I think it's more like a botched horror movie. I prefer the modern Jumanji. The comedy is funny and the storyline is better. Well, we're going to talk about those modern ones in a second. Disease Monkey may have a point when he says the joke of Van Pelt being able to buy a machine gun without completing the paperwork does not hold up well.
Yeah, because it's too accurate.
And one last reviewer says the new one is so much better. What's wrong with you people? So I can't wait to talk about that. But before we do, I have to do Siskel and Ebert. Do you guys think Siskel and Ebert would like this movie?
I'm having a bad streak lately, so I'm going to guess no.
Dan's shaking his head. He doesn't think so.
I think no, just because you mentioned that we can't wait to get to that part.
These guys always fascinate me. Like, they are so wrong on so many movies. Anyhow, Siskel said, and this is a quote, he said, okay, so what? He said special effects work at cross purposes to the story. He called it an ambitious mess. Because you can do special effects doesn't mean you should. They need to be in service of the plot. Wow. Fuck you, Siskel. Ebert agreed with Siskel. He said it would terrify young kids and said outright it's not a good movie. You guys.
Comedy and kids' films, critics never say anything good about it.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I can't even remember the last time they both said no.
No, it's quite rare, actually. They'll pass anything.
Usually they disagree.
But this is a wonderful movie, and we all love it. So I just, again, this is why we do the podcast, because it's fascinating to look back on this stuff in history. Okay, remake. So in this section, I ask everybody, does this movie deserve a remake, prequel, or sequel? But everybody knows this had several sequels. So Jumanji 2 with Dwayne Johnson, I haven't seen it. I refuse to. But it's a Rotten Tomatoes 77 and 87, critics and audience, so it ranked higher. I don't get it.
I'll never watch that.
Over time, it won't.
I don't love Dwayne Johnson. Like, he just waters down everything.
And Jack Black, too.
Isn't it incredible how much he looks like The Rock?
You make that joke every time, Matthew.
And it never gets dull.
The remakes.
You like the remake?
Okay.
I
do. Jack Black playing a teenage girl is hilarious.
I have seen the remake. I liked it because in my mind it's totally unrelated to the original Jumanji, because they didn't follow the same plot at all. It's literally just they used the name and nothing else is the same. Yeah,
really?
And I
feel like it was a very similar plot. I actually, watching this movie was kind of fun because I thought it made me think that movie was a better spiritual successor than I suspected it would be, because I feel like it honored a number of the tropes of the original movie, and
Dan, have you seen it?
Followed some of it.
Dan, have you seen the remake?
No.
Good.
Haven't seen any.
Did you guys know that Jumanji was a cartoon series from 1996 to 1999?
No.
Wow.
Amazing.
That's crazy.
Okay.
I also didn't know it was based on a book, which makes me want to go out and read the book.
Wait, really?
Yep.
It said that in the credits. We watched the entire credits all the way through because we wanted to look for Dan's name so that we could go like, oh my god, we know him. So we watched the whole credits, and at the end it said it was based on a book.
Jumanji was originally created by author and illustrator Chris Van Allsburg, first published in 1981 as a children's picture book.
Yeah, it's a beautiful book. It's a
I
great
look forward
book.
to reading it after this.
Beautifully illustrated.
I assume
really
you
nice.
read it as part of your research for doing this?
Well, it's a pretty easy read, but no, and there's a little sketch of the board game, and it does have a little snakes and ladders sort of thing, but it doesn't look like what we ended up coming up.
On the topic of remake, so my idea is that they should remake this as a horror movie.
I'd be kind of into that. I would
I'd love that.
be into that. I don't usually like a remake because if it's a good movie the way it is, just leave it. But I would like a horror movie version.
I mean, it's a family movie with a little bit of scary in it to amp it up. What if you amped up that scary part even more and made it a horror? I think it would be cool.
Well, this kind of movie leaves a lot of room open for good remakes and sequels because you don't have to remake the original script. The board game keeps finding new people. You can just keep doing, like, new situations with the board game, new creatures coming out. But
Agreed.
I mean, what happened to those kids in the beginning? They got away.
they did. But
They
what
buried
happened
it.
to them?
Which I will say, so this is one of Catherine's favorite movies, and she was so excited for me to watch it. And sitting down, because, you know, growing up, we always watched whatever movie the TV channels put on. And so we realized she must have never seen the beginning, because, like, I turned the movie on, and it, you know, it gives the, I forget the year, but it gives that opening year, and she's like, that's the wrong movie. And I'm like, no, I think it's fine. There was a whole bunch of doubt, and then that scene ended, and it was the, you know, what she expected with the factory.
Well, to my knowledge, the movie doesn't say how long the game has been around. And I had another question for you guys, which is how many children died over the years playing this game that didn't succeed?
Probably a lot, because we'd never know.
And if you do die, does the game reset?
I don't think so. I think you have to win for it to reset.
Then it could be stuck forever.
I imagine
so fascinating.
if they die, you'd just get sucked into the game.
So, see, this is why it's brilliant, Dan. So much the imagination can do with this. You give it enough that it's a great story, but then let people just run with it in their imagination. I love it. Okay, so I am going to ask our group, is this movie too old or pure gold?
I think pure gold.
Pure gold.
Pure gold.
Pure gold. It's unanimous. Everybody loves this movie.
I assume Dan agrees.
Oh, I love it. It's a good movie.
Yeah, I mean, it must feel good, Dan, to have it so beloved with your work being so central to the movie.
No, it was an honor. That's for sure. It was great to be able to work.
It's really
on that
been
show.
lovely to hear all your thoughts on it, because it just makes me so happy to see how proud of this work you are and hear all your wonderful experiences and stories.
Can I sneak in a bonus question for you, Dan?
Of course.
I was just curious. I mean, maybe it's a common question for you, but, like, obviously we all think of the board game as, like, the most amazing prop on this movie, but what would be your next favorite if you set that aside? Because you did so many props for this movie.
Well, you know, everything has a story, right? And sometimes it's the most inconsequential thing that ends up being a memorable thing. So you remember the scene where the scene with the pelican, you know, where the pelican flies away with the board and Robin somehow tracks down the pelican by the creek or the rapids, and he has to distract the pelican.
Yep.
Well, you read the script, and the script simply says Alan grabs a fish from the creek to distract the pelican. So, you know, all of a sudden I'm involved, right? So, you know, we weren't going to use, we couldn't use a real fish because we were up in the GVRD. It's extremely protected up there. You know, sometimes you can use real fish in a movie, but that was out right away. So I need a fake fish. And you don't want to just hold up a static rubber fish. You want it to have some action. So, you know, we talked about making it wiggle, making it to look like a flapping fish. So I had this, you know, fantastic team of prop makers on the movie, and we're sitting down talking about all the different challenges for the show. We started talking about the fish, and then my main guy whose name was Brian Dott. He was amazing. Made so many things for Jumanji, you know, had his fingers in all sorts of different areas in that show, and he came up with a great idea of taking a battery-powered toothbrush, you know, from the drugstore, and molding the body of the fish around this little mechanical thing. And so I says, that's fantastic, let's do it. So we already had the sculpt of the fish, right? It was gonna be like a fish that was like maybe 9 inches long or something. Toothbrush would fit perfectly in there. So off he goes, and sure, he comes back like a week later, and he's got this silicone fish that looks like a fish. And he goes, check this out. And there's this little button. You couldn't really see it, but you could feel it with your finger. It's sort of where the belly button would be on the fish, and you squeezed it, and then the tail started to shake on the fish, right? And it looked like it was a living fish. It was amazing. He was brilliant. He figured this thing out. So the first thing I do is I take it home. and I fill up my bathtub, and I put it in the bathtub of my, and it starts to like, it actually moves. It's actually sort of flipping around in a little circle in my bathtub, and it keeps running. Like the battery still works. It's waterproof, and I go, this is fantastic. So now I got 6 of them. He made me 6 of them. We go up to the GVRD for the scene, and we're rehearsing, and okay, it's time to put the fish in, and I'm sitting there, I'm on my hands and knees, and I've got this thing, and I put, and it's like, okay, let's start up the fish, let's do it. And I push the little button, and the fish, before it was in my bathtub, it was going in a circle. The fish just took off. It went like 20 feet upstream. It was just like a rocket, and everybody starts laughing, right? Because it's ridiculous. And now I'm running after the fish, and I find it, and so anyway, and it was like, well, how we solved it. It had too much power. It was like, but we couldn't change the batteries or anything because it was like an integral unit. So we just turned on all the fish for like a minute, let the batteries wear down a bit, and then it was fine. So when you see the little fish, it's hard to see. It's such a quick scene. It's flipping. It's a toothbrush inside that little fish, inside that little.
I gotta go back and look at it.
so cool.
So cool how much work goes into something that's used for like a second. It's phenomenal.
And the best part of that story is you think fish have belly buttons.
You just can feel it with your finger, anyways. Yes.
We all know about the fish belly button, Matthew.
Hey, before we
Too
let you
funny.
go, I want to ask you about one other movie, I, Robot. I saw on your IMDb. That must have been an incredible production to work on. That movie is phenomenal as well.
No, iRobot was good too. Big budget. Will Smith is a great guy to work with. I ended up working with Will on a few shows because I worked with his son on something. So Will was there for that. I was in Toronto, did Suicide Squad. Will Smith was a superhero in that movie. He's a super kind man. He was super kind to my family. My son was on set a few times, and Will was in his complete Deadshot outfit, like a perfect comic book image, and my son's name is Andrew, pulled Andrew over, he just fussed all over him and made him a part of his little entourage. And Will's a great guy.
Awesome.
So sweet.
That's a good story. Well, I mean, we are at the end of the podcast. Dan, I have to say thanks for joining us. This was so fun. Such a treat to have you on here to share your stories. Very cool.
Oh, I wish I could just keep asking you questions all day.
It's been great visiting. Thank you so much for asking me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
Awesome. Bye, everyone. This has been a
guys.
great one.
Thank you.